Okay. So you should have one picture of a blank background. And if you didn't do that, you can do that today. And then you should have a picture of, let's zoom out a little bit here, holding the object with one hand. And let's zoom out again. And then holding the object with the other hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to select both of these objects, which I have in each of them. I'm going to go over the selection tool in a minute. And then you're going to paste them onto here. And then we also are going to create a shadow so it makes it look realistic. All right. So let's go back to here. I am just saving the selection so that I don't have to select it afterwards. So I'm going to go Command D, deselects. And these tools right here are your selection tools. So we're going to start with just the shapes. And I'm going to show you how to use these options up here. So if I just click, if I'm on the regular selection, this square right here, and then I select this, and then I move over and select this, the other selection disappears. Okay. So this one, you can only have one selection at a time. If I click on this one, also if I hover over it for a long enough time, it will tell you what it does. So this says add selection, and then if I hover over this one says subtract. So we're going to use these three right here, and these three work with these selection tools, these selection tools, and these selection tools. Okay. So again, we are on the plus. So if I go like this, whoops, I forgot, I thought I was on the square. And then be back on the plus. I can add to my selection like that. I can make another selection right over here. And then if I went Command C to copy and Command V to paste, just so you could see, this is what I selected. All right, let's go back. So let's go and make a regular selection. And then I'm going to take subtract, and I'm going to like subtract right there, maybe like right here and here. And then Command C to copy, Command V to paste, just so you can see what it actually selects. Okay. So there's different shapes that you can use underneath this tab, and they do all the same things. They just select in those kinds of shapes. Okay. Then you have this one, which is your quick selection and your magic wand. They both select stuff. Quick selection is a good place to start, but sometimes it doesn't work. So all you're doing, it's like your brush tool, just like your stamp tool. You can use your bracket keys to make your brush bigger or smaller. So the right bracket key, I'm making it bigger. The left bracket key, I'm making it smaller. And I'm on the wrong layer, so that's why it selected that square. And so, okay, so I clicked on that, and look, it didn't really work. But now here's another thing, just like, you know, you've got your plus, your minus. So I can go to my minus over here, and I can say, all right, let me try this. Come around the edge over here, and now I have the ball selected. There's a little bit, if I zoom in here, you can see that that's not selected, so I need to add that. So if I go back to my quick and go to the plus and click right on that white, then it would be there. But look, if you want to read, when you select something, you really want to zoom in, because it looked perfect to me when I wasn't zoomed in, and then I zoomed in, and look, I'm missing half of the ball right here. All right, so go back to your quick selection, and I can kind of click right here. I'm holding the space bar down. When you're zoomed in and you hold the space bar down, it turns into this hand right here. Why I don't like to just click on this hand is because if I click on the hand, then I have to go back and click on the tool that I was using before. But if you hold the space bar down, it turns into the hand. And then if you let it go, it brings you back to that tool that you were using before. And then there's a little right here. And that's a pretty good selection. All right, so now I'm going to deselect that because I want you to know how to use the next selection tool. The one underneath is the magic wand. So basically this one, if I click on it, it will select all of like the dark area. You can change your tolerance to be a little bit smaller. So normally it starts off at 32. So I'm going to go Command D to deselect, and I'm going to change this to maybe like 10. Oh, see how that? See how that only selected just this, right? If I click more a couple times, I need to be on the plus. Remember I talked about the plus? And now I'm on minus, whoops. And keep clicking, and it can keep selecting certain stuff. Now I can change this. I can change it back up to maybe like, let's say 35. And then if I click, it's gonna select more. But look, it went into there. So it's not the best tool to use when you have highlights and shadows. Okay, if it's a solid color of something like white, that might be better to use. So I'm going to deselect that. These are the ones that we're really going to use the most. We're going to use the regular lasso and the magnetic lasso. The polygonal lasso, I'll show you what that does. That just does straight shapes, straight lines, sorry. And then wherever you started is where you need to go back to end it. So if I was like, okay, I want to get out of here, I can't. Let me go over here. Let me click on the type tool. You cannot get out of it. You have to hit escape. But if I wanted to make a selection, I need to end my selection right here. And then I'll get those. These are called the marching ants. Okay. So that's that one. Then let's go to the magnetic. This is the one that you're going to use. So let me zoom in here. Go to the magnetic. And what it does is the computer, I'm going right around the object, but the computer is making these little squares. These little squares are called anchor points. When the computer might get a little confused, you can click. If I keep clicking, you see how many anchor points there are right there? If I click, I make an anchor point. And the same thing with the polygonal lasso tool. You have to click right where you started to make the selection. And the way that you can tell that is there's like a little circle that appears. There's not there now. And then if I hover over and get back to that square, you're going to find it again. Then there's a little circle. And that shows you, hey, you're on the right anchor point. Click and your selection will be made. So I clicked and my selection is now made. So again, I was actually making that with the minus, but I could go to plus. And if let's say I wanted to, add this in, I can do that. And then if I don't like that, I always can do Command Z to undo. For touching up, I would say use your regular lasso tool. Again, I'm going to use the space bar and I'm going to zoom in and check out what's going on over here and say, okay, well, I really need to fix this up right there. Maybe those two little dots I don't need. So I'm going to go to minus and I'm just going to select those like that. And then here's part of the shine of the ball that it didn't select. So let me go to add. And I'm just clicking and dragging and looping around and making that selection. Okay. So again, there are these tools that you can use to select your object. There's these and there are these. Okay. Most likely your object for this assignment, the magic wand isn't going to work. You can start with the selection tool, but you're definitely going to have to touch up with either the regular lasso or the magnetic. All right.